Pruning trees is one of the most difficult tasks for first-time growers. Whether it's as simple as plucking new growth from the top of a seedling or going to town with a chainsaw, pruning is one of the most important things you can do for your fruit tree. The tree you see behind me here, just behind that cherry picker, that's a mango tree. It's on my neighbor's property and it has not been pruned in the 13 years I've been living here. It needs a lot of work. First thing, it's way too tall. Look at how high that guy goes up. That goes up over 35 feet tall. We can't reach that fruit with even the biggest of our cherry pickers. The other sign that this tree hasn't had regular pruning is you don't see much horizontal growth. See all the thick branches, they're very straight. They're like telephone poles. The ideal shape for a fruit-bearing tree is round. We want it to be bushy. We want the fruit to grow low. And since I don't want to remove too much from this tree, I'm going to do it in two phases. I'm going to cut it down to about 14, 15 feet height, but I'm going to leave one or two branches out that have leaves growing on them. Then when the section I cut starts to recover and we get branches and leaves and sprouts back, I'll wait till we get enough leaf growth, then I'll come back and I will cut off the other branches. And the reason I do that is I want to leave the leaves on the tree. I want there to be photosynthesis. I don't want to just take all the green off of this tree because you could kill it. So you could see that knot. That's where it was previously pruned at. And over the past 13, 14 years, these branches just grew straight up into that canopy. I also like to start up high and cut the tree in sections rather than just fall big logs, because then it makes my cleanup effort easier on the ground. I have lighter logs to carry. Here's good evidence of a tree that's been neglected. You see these two branches, they split out like a Y, but then this one came over like this and created this little tangle. This is not something you want in a tree. You don't want these little tangles and these little knots. Once we get this guy cleaned up today and growing straight, we'll have it on a pruning regimen where this kind of stuff won't happen in the future. Here's one of the knots I was showing you that's up on the tree. So in previous years, this would have been standing with this side down, and the pruning was happening right about here. And you could see where new branches were coming out from that. And that develops a scar. But you're really not supposed to prune in the same spot every year. If you prune at 16 feet one year, then the next year maybe you go down to 14 feet, or maybe you go up to 17 feet. So what I did with this Palmer mango tree was all the places that there was a knot, all the scars from the former pruning, I came down about a foot and cut below. Here we are. I got the tree cut and I did exactly what I told you guys I was going to do. So I took out, if you remember, there was all them long straight up and down branches, but since we took out so much volume from the tree, I left a branch on this side with leaves on it. I left this branch here also. Here's another view from up top, and you can see that look, there's no more canopy. The logs are all down there on the ground. And you see, look, like I said, I left this one branch here with leaves and another one over there with leaves so that this tree can recover and these can all grow back. And I cut everything down below the node. I guess I maybe could have gone about 6 inches lower with this guy, but I cut right below the previous nodes or scars of where this tree was pruned at the last time. A lot of hard work, but I'm really happy for this tree now. Here we are in the Avocado Grove. And it looks like a bomb went off behind me. Look at these trees. They are all cut to the same height. And not only did we top them at 14 feet high, but we hedged as well. So you see the space between the trees. In my last video, these trees were all touching each other from left to right. Now there's wide open space in between. And we did that for a very good reason. We want this whole grove to grow in a balanced way. So right now, for example, the sun's on its way down over there to the west. If I had one huge tree over there blocking the sun, it would cast shade on all the rest of these trees. I would have one really good performing tree, and then the rest of them would be stuck in the shade. So every year after we pick our last avocados, we come out and we top them all to the same height. Evening out the sunlight is not the only benefit we get from pruning. In fact, the bigger benefit, and the benefit we're interested in, is pruning stimulates new growth. And while I don't know all the scientific ins and outs of it, I know that the ends of the new growth do something chemically that tell trees not to produce more new growth. So by pruning away last year's new growth, we trick the trees into making more new growth this year. It tells the tree to start producing all this nice new green growth. And look, at the end of the growth is even more growth. Eventually there's going to be flowers popping out of there, and that's what turns into your avocados. Pruning also gives us a chance to eliminate any dead growth, any diseased growth, any type of growth that's going to inhibit fruit production into next season. My job today is to come up here and remove all the stuff that didn't fall and throw that down to the ground so we can shred it up. We don't want that stuff stuck in the top of our trees. And while I'm up here, I'm also on the lookout for vines. It's a never-ending battle with the vines. Now, a lot of you don't have the type of equipment you need to prune a large tree, but if you're gonna try it yourself, you need to be very, very careful. Pruning is not only dangerous to us, but it's also harmful to property. This is, or was, one of my sprinklers. So when I'm done with this whole job, I'm gonna have to come out and identify all the damage that happened and fix it up. I'm afraid we lost something a little more valuable than a sprinkler head. I stand here today to inform you of the passing of our beloved Kesar mango tree. It stood right here, and you know it from Sleepy Lizard YouTube channel favorites such as They Are Playing Baseball in My Grove and Why Do Farmers Cut Fruit from Their Baby Mango Trees. You were vigorous, you were strong, but you weren't strong enough to survive the crush of 3,000 pounds of ficus tree. While we can never replace you in our hearts, I will replace you in the ground with this Pickering mango. Rest in power, homie. Pruning is one of those painful things that you have to do, like going to the dentist or your cousin's destination wedding. The consequences of not doing it far outweigh the short-term pain of doing it. There are few joys in life greater than picking a piece of homegrown fruit and popping it in your mouth. If, on the other hand, you'd rather let me grow the fruit for you, then you can buy it from us at guacfarm.com. guacfarm.com. We sell our fruit out there, we sell our shirts, we sell these hats, and nothing makes me happier than the feedback I get from someone who falls in love with a new tropical fruit they've never tried before. Speaking of things we've never tried before, my kid's away on a sleepover and my wife and I have the house to ourselves. So while I go inside, you go to guacfarm.com and I will see you on the next video.